If you watched any of my videos on this channel or any videos that anybody else has made, you know that a lot of people love investing. But how do you actually invest? Today, I'm going to show you what to buy, how to buy it, and best practices when coming to buy these products. All right, come on with me with this journey and let's get financially literate together. Now, the buying pie is very easy. All you have to do is open up any brokerage account. This could be with your bank. Majority of banks have them, or with Wealthsimple, or with trade with InvestTrade. Whatever you want to invest with, you can invest. That is not the hard part. Once you open up a brokerage account, the next step you want to do is look for these ticker symbols. These are just nicknames for these companies. The first one is going to be Spider, and the second one is going to be SPY. Both of these indexes are S&P 500 run indexes. In basic terms, this follows the 500 biggest companies in the USA, and it will go up and down as correlation with those companies. Now, those 12% under 12% returns that I keep mentioning to you, and how you'll double your money every 6 years with the rule of 72, it's all done with these companies. They are the backbone of every good investment. So this is what you want to make sure that you are investing in. Here are going to be the ticker symbols, so you can take a look for yourself. Once you do that, just put in some money every month, get it automated out of your bank account, and majority of brokerages will do this for you, and you can just consistently invest every month after month and look at these compounding growths. Let's just say, for example, you're going to do $250 per month for, let's just say, 40 years, and here are the results. As you can see, groundbreaking. Now, the next thing you want to do is make sure that firstly, that is automated, because remember, that is the strength and the backbone of any single investment strategy. Second thing you want to do is maybe you want some more diversification. You can look for some different investments such as VTI or SCHD. VTI is the total stock market of the USA. So this is going to include companies that are not just the 500 biggest, more smaller companies, more medium-sized companies. Now this can be good and bad for portfolio, because this allows you for more volatility, because smaller companies are not as pronounced as big companies. However, because they're smaller, they have a lot more room to grow than bigger companies. So you kind of take the risk on it. Over time, from what I've seen, honestly, just to make it simple as hell, invest in SPY or Spider. It just works better over the long run. The only exception I'll make is doing that with the combination of also investing into SCHD. Now, as you can see from the SCHD, the growth is not substantial for this company, for the stock. However, the reason why I like SCHD is because they are monstrous at growing their dividend. Now, when people speak about dividends, they speak about distributions that companies give to their shareholders, which is you if you own their company. SPY has a small dividend as well. So does majority of these ETFs. However, SCHD consistently grows their dividend. And that means that every single month, every single quarter, every single year, you can expect to see a price hike. So if you got $20 today, you can expect to get $21 next time, just as a reference. Now, as good as that consistent growth is, nothing is good without the basic of investment. So I'm going to tell you this for the third time. Invest into just the S&P 500 basic ETF, and then decide what you want to do. The SCHD is fantastic because they have a ruthless pretty much period where they do high def integrations with the companies. So they make sure that every company is what they say, it follows their rules, follow their regulations, and it makes sure all of them are legit and they can pay their dividend. Now, you really want a company like that, because then that means you have less work to do. And like SPY, all of these companies, all they do every single day, or once a quarter or once a year, whenever they decide to reshuffle all these stocks, it's just look for the biggest market caps and the best companies. That's why all of these passive ETFs are the best way to get great money for your results. Now, for the last section, I'm going to move on to best practices. Now, these are really, really game changers when it comes to this stuff. There's a reason I recommended Spider, or as other people know it, SPY, in this scenario, because SPY has expense ratio of 0.09. An expense ratio is the money that the fund takes from your portfolio every single year, because they run it. They obviously choose the companies in there, and so they decide how much is the expense ratio. And guess what? Some banks have crazy high expense ratios. I'm talking about 1 to 2%. Now, you don't think that that's a lot, but you don't understand that that's 1 or 2% forever. Think about it like this: if 1 year you only have 1,000, okay, it doesn't make too much a difference, $10. However, what happens when you get $1 million? Are you going to give them $20,000 in ETF fees? No, you don't want to. So what you want to do is look for companies that are very, very good with their expense ratios. SPYs, like I mentioned, is only 0.09, which means if you invest $10,000, you only pay $9. That is a good expense ratio. That is money well used. You want to make sure that all your money is compounding. If you're only getting a 10% increase per year, then you do yourself no favor by giving 2% of that gain to a company. Remember that. So it's a very important concept to remember. And if you have your investments right now with anybody else, with IA Financial, with anywhere that has a high expense ratio, check it out. See how much you're actually paying, and see with an extra 1 to 2% what your results can be. Remember, if it goes over $1 million, that's $10,000 to $20,000 that we're speaking of. A lot of money. And you gave them money the entire period of your portfolio getting there. Now, after that, the next thing you want to do is remember to keep investing. You need to continuously invest. Like I mentioned, $250 a month. Let's go for 150. If you just consistently invest 150 into just the S&P 500 index for 45 years, you will have $2.7 million. Think about that. That is fantastic amounts of money for doing nothing. This is only $150 a month. You can figure it out. That's for 150. That's $75 bi-weekly, and that's 35 bucks, less than 35 bucks a week. You can figure out how to do that. You can figure it out. It's a very important task to do, because if you're in your early 20s, this is literally the groundworks of success. I mentioned it so many times throughout the past videos, but I want to be known as the compounding guy. Everything is about compounding. And with that, we get to our last portion of this video. And those last two things are going to be compounding. Like I mentioned, compounding is the best thing in the entire world. So leave your money in for the very long run. And the last thing, the most important thing, is going to be what type of account you actually invest in. Now, if you're in the USA, there's a Roth IRA and there's a regular RIA, there's traditional RIA, and then in the Canada, there's the TSFA and the RRSP. People need to understand with the regular traditional IRA and with the RRSP, these are taxable brokerage accounts. Although you take money out of this taxable year, you will have to pay tax on that money. And when you're going to sit on money for 40 years and you're going to grow that substantially, the last thing you want is to spend high amounts of money paying those taxes. So the best practice is use a TSFA, a tax-free savings account, or a Roth IRA. Those accounts, all the money that you put into it, you still pay tax on, but all the money that you take out of that account in 30 years and 40 years or whatever you want to take it out is tax-free. So understand how much power you have by having $2.7 million tax-free. Think about how much the growth of that guy is going to be. Fantastic. And if you put that into dividends and you're able to get a 5% dividend per year, do you know how much money you have? A substantial amount of dividends every single year. So guys, I hope you got to learn something from this video. I hope you're able to implement it properly. Make sure you take these tips. And if you need any assistance, anything, please leave it in the comment. We'll see you next time. Please feel free to subscribe and like. I really would appreciate that. Thank you.